Hi, welcome to the Nurse Coach Duo. Today we're welcoming Laura Alessio, a fellow board certified nurse coach and advanced holistic nurse who helps her clients move from living in constant stress mode to feeling more grounded, resilient, and at home in their own bodies. Laura blends the science of nursing with mindfulness, heart math, and holistic practices, and she's also a certified facilitator of Dr. Joe Dispenza's Back to Balance meditation series. We'll be talking with Laura about why she chose nurse coaching, how she helps busy, overwhelmed clients calm their nervous systems, quiet their racing minds, and find practical ways to bring mindfulness into everyday life. This is a conversation for anyone who feels like they're always on and they're ready to feel more balanced, steady, and supported from the inside out. Join us for this great conversation with Laura. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss future episodes where we'll tackle more midlife issues with solutions that you can actually use. Before we dive in, just a quick reminder. This episode is for educational purposes only and isn't medical advice. If you're dealing with a health issue, please check in with your healthcare provider.
Hi, welcome to the Nurse Coach Duo. My name is Angie McGuire. I am the owner of Coach Angie.
And hi, I'm Jen Schroer, owner of Clarity Health and Wellness. And today we have a fellow nurse coach on, and we're super excited to talk with Laura Alessio. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Jen, Angie.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So, as Angie and I talk about quite often, we like to bring nurse coaches on, share with our audience what you are doing with your nurse coach certification, how you're helping women in midlife, even if midlife women aren't your niche, right? What you're doing to be able to help. And we're always looking for new people to pass on to our audience to share that there is so much out there to help us. So we thought today with you that maybe we just wanted to start with, why nurse coaching? Why have you gone this route? Give us a little bit of that before we jump into more of what you're doing.
Sure. So I actually hadn't heard about nurse coaching until I was actually at a med legal conference. I used to do work as a legal nurse consultant. I still do a little bit of that, but I was there and I met someone who was doing video interviews of the attendees, and we started talking, and he told me that his wife is a nurse who teaches nurses how to become nurse coaches. And I just had this light bulb moment, like, what is this? How come I've
Yeah.
never heard of it? And where has it been? And just like tell me everything. And I immediately just started reflecting back on my own personal health journey because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's autoimmune condition back in 2017. And I just really struggled. Like prior to that, I'd been mostly, healthy for the majority of my life. And that was really challenging because I was struggling with a lot of fatigue and brain fog and vertigo and dizziness. And so I sought out the help of a functional medicine provider. And had I known there was such a thing as nurse coaching, I would have definitely been interested in hiring one for myself just for additional support and with the nutrition aspect, because he had asked me to do a autoimmune paleo diet and removing gluten, dairy, soy, and alcohol. And I had always eaten pretty healthy the majority of my life and never really restricted myself, especially, you know, that drastically.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the hardest parts when I, would be grocery shopping and looking at every single label, and it was really stressful. And if I known about nurse coaching, that could have been something, that maybe they could have helped me with. And so that, as well as I had taken a yoga teacher training in 2019 and learned so much about yoga, but also a little bit about Ayurvedic medicine and mindfulness and meditation. And towards the end of my training, I just kept thinking, like, how can I incorporate this into my nursing and bring this to, more of a nursing, position, nursing role. And at that time, I didn't even know you could be certified, as a holistic nurse or any of that. I think I took a look, like, in Google or like AHNA, and um, just like I knew there was a possibility, but I didn't know where to start or how to find clients or anything like that. So when I heard about this nurse coaching, it was just like I said, this light bulb moment, and I immediately just went down all the rabbit holes. I got to meet her later that day at the conference and just picked her brain and stayed in contact with her. And she was actually the first nurse coach that I hired for myself to help me with getting my business up and running.
Oh, that's a great connection. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. I think it's always great to hear stories and how we find ourselves going down different paths, and also, bringing more light and understanding of what a nurse coach can do, right? We talk about this a lot, and we're trying to spread the word, right? So it's nice to share it here as well. So, I mean, Laura, Jen and I work with women in midlife, through perimenopause and menopause, and, all that brings, and certainly brings a lot of stress, physically, mentally, emotionally. Gosh, relationships, this midlife time is not always, it can be fine, but it can also be very tricky, right? So, how, when you work with women, like give us what do you do?
Sure. So, yes, I am very passionate about mindfulness and meditation. So, one of the things that I offer is mindfulness, during either, maybe the beginning of our coaching session or the middle or the end, and just to help them to get into more of a grounded state. And kind of just a time to pause and to come back into the present moment. And one of the parts of my offerings is actually it's called Back to Balance. It's a meditation series that has been created by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I have become a certified facilitator. So I offer with my coaching, when someone signs up for a package, I gift them one of these meditations. And so I work with women who, maybe it's their first time experiencing meditation, or maybe they've had a little, taste of it in the past and they want to get back into it. And so this is a way that they have access to the meditation anytime that they want, and they, listen to it on their own time and do the meditation, and then come to the coaching session with questions or, comments, or anything that they want more support with, and sharing their experiences, maybe what's going well or what's not going well, and really helping them to you know bring that into more of a daily practice for them, if that's something that they'd like to incorporate into their daily lives.
Yeah, and just for people who don't really, haven't been through the nurse coaching, like anyways, for the coach academy that I went through, awareness was a big piece of it, right? And so we all worked with that. It's as far as, opening the session, like you're saying, grounding, getting there. But it sounds like you go like deeper, right? It's not just like for me, whenever I'm doing a session, I do like a one piece of it, and most people love it. Right? That it's like, oh my gosh, why don't I do that more? Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like that just brought me so much calm, or tears, and not tears of like, oh my gosh, feel horrible afterwards, but wow, releasing, right? And I've
Hmm.
always thought, gosh, that's so powerful. And I tend to like, should I include it? Shouldn't I include it? All of this, and I know I should, right? But everybody is a little bit different. So I think what it sounds like to me is that you go much deeper than just like a small awareness process. So when you get these people who have never done it before, who like you even mentioned that as well, but like or are resistant to it, kind of how do you introduce it? How do you get them to be open to trying this,
Hmm.
even more than
Yes.
just sitting with you, but even outside of your practices?
Sure, that's a great question. So I do have a Facebook group called Stress Less with Mindfulness, which is open to anyone, who has a lot of experience with mindfulness or very familiar, or who are brand new, maybe never even experienced it for the first time. And I provide questions that are thought-provoking to think about, times during their day or week when maybe they have felt most present or most relaxed. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about mindfulness is it's really having that awareness of being in the present moment. So it can be what I really like to do, like with clients who are newer, is, you know, find out more about their daily like habits surrounding like meals. And are they having a meal while they're watching TV? Are they having a meal where they're texting on their phone? Or are they having a meal that they have no screen, no technology, no distraction, maybe with family or, on their own, and really encouraging them to just reflect and think about how their food made it to their plate and, thinking about like the process from seed to plate, like, and how involved that is, and really just embracing, I'm really big on gratitude as well. And so thinking about, what it took for the life of that seed to grow into, becoming something fruitful that could be harvested, that then, went through the process of being transported wherever to make it to the grocery store and then to be purchased and make it to, this person's plate. So that's one of the, just an example of something, just having that, gratitude and awareness and being mindful and bringing that all together. So that's one of the main examples that I like to give, but just trying to also encourage, asking clients like, all of us are so busy and we have our schedules, and if we can just take a moment, like even if they don't have a minute, like 10 seconds to just take a pause and think about like doing a body scan, like from head to toe, and thinking about like how they feel in their body and what they notice, and taking some deep inhales and exhales, and even just one deep inhale and one deep exhale, and what they notice from start to finish. And this can be done anytime, like they're sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
Just really taking a moment to, it's so easy for us to take for granted, our breath that we have each day, and waking up with that. And so really just bringing them back to like, almost like back to basics, but, having gratitude for the breath we get to have, and bringing it, to simple practices.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you're talking about gratitude, and we're certainly grateful to have you here today with us and bringing this all to us and our listeners. What do you see shift like emotionally, physically, relationships? What do you see? Like, I mean, could be anecdotal. I don't know if you have data on this or anything, but like, I mean, what do you hear from your clients? And also, I just wanted to say what you describe again is what nurse coaching can do for people. Like putting that support, like the education around meditation, around mindfulness, all these, these big, these words that we hear everywhere around us all the time. People are like, oh, it's just, I don't have time, as you've already said. Like, it's just, again, what nurse coaching can do to support, educate, help people figure out what they need to do for themselves. And so I so appreciate this conversation. But back to that, like those, the feedback that you get, the biggest changes that you see in women, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that I feel like there's multiple parts to the question, but yes. So first off,
Well, yeah,
I
sorry.
think no, no,
That's very
no,
classic for me, Laura.
no, no, no.
Thanks for sticking with me.
I'm grateful to be here as well. I just wanted to say that first off, and then as far as like what is noticed, I think that, and the part about like not having time, I think that yes, we're all busy. We can say we don't have time, but that doesn't mean that we can't pause wherever we are and let that monkey mind settle down. Like say we are in the car or we're in the elevator or, we're grocery shopping. Those are all opportunities that can invite mindfulness in. And so it doesn't have to be like, your traditional, like what you see, people sitting, close their eyes and have their hands, in this perfect position. Like I always like to remind people that mindfulness can be done, at any time, anywhere. Like if you're out for a walk with a friend, if you're walking the dog, things we do, like, what our daily to-do list or, tasks for the day or errands or, we can all try to be more mindful, in how we're doing those things and just having more awareness of being in the present moment. That's, I really think, what mindfulness is all about. So it doesn't have to be like this eyes closed, following a guided, mindfulness practice or nurse coach. Like it can be done throughout our day at different points. And I think for as far as like my clients, I know that they have noticed differences. I think it depends on the person, and
Sure.
like there's a lot of factors that need to be taken into consideration as far as like how it affects their relationships and XYZ. But I feel like most of the time people, my clients like notice it in their bodies and just that sense of calm and maybe the breath slowing down. And also, like I said, with the incorporating or maybe removing things that they're used to doing. Like, I had this client, she would always stand and eat her meals and she would always, do XYZ. So whether it's, removing something external that could be, more healthy or adding in something like, mindfulness and gratitude for, the food that's on our plate. So I don't know if those answer your questions, but.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it did. I love that you're kind of talked about, that it doesn't have to be a big sweeping 10 minutes sitting in a certain position, all of this. I read a book, Unplug, quite a while ago, and it really just connected for me about like mindfulness. Like if you need to lay down, lay down. If you need
Mhm.
to, walk, walk. It doesn't have to be this picture of
Exactly.
what we keep telling people it is. And I think that
Mhm.
that can be some of that resistance. And then also you
Mhm.
mentioned the monkey mind. I also find that's a huge resistance, especially in midlife women, because they're overwhelmed. They've got a huge to-do list, right? And
Mhm.
the overwhelm from the perimenopausal transition and the changes that occur in your brain and the changes that occur in your ability to manage your anxiety are dramatic, can be dramatic.
Mhm.
Everybody experiences it differently. Let me just say, for
Mhm.
my life, they were dramatic,
Mhm.
and I think for a lot of people. And so they start to think, oh, well, I'm going to try this meditation thing. And they're like, but my brain won't slow down and it's not working. And it's like, but that's part of the process, right?
Mhm.
Like that is just part
Yes.
of it. And the more we find, oh, I noticed I had a monkey brain, and maybe next time you notice it at 8 minutes instead of 10 minutes, or, what have you, like that's just part of the process. So I would
Mhm.
just, for your clients and for how you teach it, what are you seeing as far as, how I know, and again, I know everybody's different, but how long is it taking people to kind of just grasp it? Like, because, and let me just say this, like when you're talking about mindful eating, I will admit that is one thing I just like can't get on. I tried and it messes with me. So like, I feel like people still are looking at mindfulness as that, or, this big thing. So how do you kind of get them to understand, like, this doesn't have to be this grandiose event. Just try it
Mhm.
and keep trying it. Because, like you
Mhm.
said, we're going to let time and everything else get in the way and say, oh, I can't do it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, to be perfectly honest, one of my favorites is are walking meditations. Like there are
Mhm.
these walking meditations that Dr. Joe Dispenza has, and they are one of my favorite because it gives me an opportunity to move my body and get the blood flowing. And, depending on your mood and energy, obviously everyone's going to be different. But I think what it comes down to is like, for example, well, I think mindset and like maybe just a small like shift of the needle can make a big difference as well. So like say, for example, someone has the to-do list and it's all these chores, and it's like, okay, yeah, I have all these chores to do, but also going back to the gratitude, like thinking about like at least I have like a healthy body and I have all the supplies that I need to do all my chores, to clean my house, to do the laundry, like fold all the kids' clothes and that kind of thing. So making that shift, I know I'm kind of like bouncing around a little bit, but it all comes back to, kind of that having present awareness, like, there's a way that we can look at it, like, oh, I have this endless to-do list. How am I going to ever get this done? Or looking at it like, wow, like how amazing that I have this healthy body to be able to do all these things that I want to accomplish today, and that I have the tools and supplies and resources that allow me to complete these. And I know it's easier said than done sometimes, and for some people. Um, but having that, a little bit of a mindset shift, and like having more awareness around what we're doing and observing things, like, yeah, say, okay, I have to walk the dog, like, like that could be like, oh, the last thing that you feel like doing maybe at the end of the day, but trying to look at it more in a positive light, and like allowing the opportunity for mindfulness in terms of like, oh, who knows what might see on that walk, like a really cool bird, or like a tree you've never seen or something. I know it sounds kind of silly, but just
No,
having
it's
that awareness and observing, and like, thank goodness it's not raining and I can walk the dog,
Yeah.
or not snowing, or whatever, XYZ for wherever you live. But just having that awareness and observance of like how incredible, um, the nature can be around us.
yeah, all those things. I love it. How do people, it's a practice, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like so many things that we have to do in life. We have to put the time in, we have to learn, and we have to commit to it, right? So, how does a busy woman in midlife with young children or even teenagers who can't add anything else to their list, what are
Hmm.
some small ways that, can get them started besides reaching out to you
Hmm.
to become their nurse coach? What are some small, really tangible things that someone listening today could take away to get started in this
Yeah, so
practice?
sure. So I think it's going to depend on, certain things work for some people and not for others. So, like, if setting an alarm for you in the middle of the day, or like mid-morning, to just take a pause and maybe take a break from whatever you're doing, and just give yourself, a minute, or, less, 10 seconds, to take a few deep breaths and really, come back to the present moment, and having gratitude for those breaths. Or first thing in the morning, when your alarm goes off in the morning, if you use an alarm to wake up. Sometimes I think that, I know some people, like, I'm not much of a morning person, so it can be easy to forget to do that. But
Mhm.
like, just thinking about like, oh, the gratitude to have, like the bed to sleep in, that you do wake up and you are breathing and you have this, beautiful day in front of you. And, um, you know, looking at it like as exciting, even if you do have this to-do list, or all this like work or deadlines, or, whatever it may be, just having a simple like mindset shift, like, yes, how amazing that I have this work, that I have this job to do, that, helps me to pay the bills. And, some people, be dying to be in a position,
Yeah.
um, like that. Um, and so, like, having that perspective shift. So whether it's, you know, morning, midday, or evening, or, depending on the person, how much they want to, if they want to start small, maybe trying to, do something every morning, just the first minute of their morning when they wake up, just taking some deep breaths, or setting an alarm to remind them, like maybe just even a reminder to take some deep breaths, just to calm that nervous system, in the car, in traffic, um, if they feel like they're in a rush to pick up the kids from school or whatever it is. Um, like I said, like an alarm or whatever they think is gonna to work for them, or a post-it note, or
Yeah.
something on the mirror when they. I like to even use dry erase markers and write on the mirror.
Yeah.
And so wherever they can see it, maybe even like something that's on the screen of their phone, like to breathe, or like I said, everyone's different. So what works for one person might not work for another. And that's how I say like the timing of doing it is, you can't tell someone who's a morning person to do their meditation in the morning or their whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
those are all great suggestions. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it's like anything, right? It's trial and error. You start the practice, you start trying,
mhm.
and you're not going to be perfect, and you start seeing what works for you. I know that and I may have told this story in a different episode, but I know that when my father was sick, and it was a hard time in our lives, for whatever reason I decided that every time I caught the clock at all three or four numbers the same, I was going to stop and take a deep breath.
I
And
love that.
my father's been gone for 4 years. I still do that. And it does not take me back to a traumatic time. It doesn't take me back to the stress that I was under there. It actually makes me smile, makes me think of him. And I still, it's just
Beautiful.
was a really nice way to be able to like incorporate that during such a stressful time. But it wasn't, I'm going to go meditate for 20 minutes. So
Right.
I completely agree with you. I think it can be so powerful. And honestly, Laura, like just listen to you talk. I can see how it's changed, rewired you and changed your
Mhm.
mindset and the way that you talk. It's just it's really very beautiful because if we can start to approach life like that, where we're looking at, like you mentioned the dog example. I have to walk my dog 2 and 3 times a day. And some days she is just really difficult. And I'm like, oh, but I try to find a moment of, okay, this little corner has this great amount of sun, and I'm gonna go stand. I'm just gonna soak up that sun, and close my eyes, or at least she makes me get out and get all my steps or whatever it is. And it really does. I mean, I am not perfect at it by any means. It does not always work that well, but it really can just make such a difference in such and life is so stressful. We need to find little ways to tweak it to however we can do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, tell me, just because I just hear it so much in your voice, like, what kind of changes has it made for you in your life to be putting more focus into mindfulness?
Yes, I mean, I first just want to say, I think as far as being perfect at it, I don't think anyone can say that they're perfect at it. I feel like that of all things, I mean, especially, and I know that I've had, excuse me, conversations with other nurse coaches about this, and people who are very well known in the nurse coach space, and they have said like they've got the nutrition, they've got the exercise, those are nailed down. The mindfulness is just, a challenge. And I feel like it's just because that's what we're used to, and that's just how our brains operate. Like, some days are definitely easier than others, but as far as like the mindfulness and meditation for me, I've just experienced a lot of I mean, it really reinforced in the nurse coaching program when we had the mindfulness portion. It reinforced what I had, learned in my yoga teacher training about that, because I knew it was valuable, but I didn't know like at what impact or what level. And so that just really, that passion grew for me, which is why I created this group, and then took it to the next level. But yeah, personally and professionally, I've been able to see transformations. I just feel like I'm don't have that monkey mind as much as I did before. I mean, of course, some days are better than
Yeah.
others, but just yeah, having more calm, and really just now, since I, breathe it, and every day, um and all that, it makes it easier to remind myself of it when I'm out and about or in a stressful situation. Like, okay, just like, I guess a good example would be like a month ago, my alarm, I don't know if I slept through it or what happened, but like I woke up an hour after I was supposed to for a really early flight. And the old me would have been, in my head, like, oh God, I'm not going to make it. Oh God, now I'm going to miss this flight. And then I'm going to miss, the connecting flight and all this, and like stressing, stressing, stressing. And the new me was just like the self-talk was like, it's okay. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it,
Yes.
and everything's going to be okay. Uber's going to get me there on time, and it's all going to work out. And it did. And so, I mean, that's like, self-talk, but it all is kind of interrelated. Um,
Sure.
so yeah, I
It's
just think it,
rewiring, right? We hear about
mhm,
that a lot, right? With
mhm. The
cognitive behavioral
neuroplasticity.
therapy, mindfulness, meditation. It's all, and as you've already said many times, it's different for everyone. And what one person is doing might not work for you, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of different ways to try and rewire. And I think a lot of women in midlife specifically are wanting to do that, based on or needing to, or life has taken them down a different road and they're needing to really um, rewire. So
Mhm.
this is another way to do it. So it's
Mhm.
really nice to hear your stories and how it's changed your life and how you've, I'm sure, changed other people's lives and working with people. It's really it's this has been a great conversation. And if as we wrap up, if we could leave one goal or one, like, again, like, for our audience to take, to do today, what would it be? For
Mhm.
what would you say?
Yeah, I think I would invite them to just take a few moments, however much time they have right now as they're listening, to take a deep breath, take a deep inhale and exhale, and or if they can take more, take more, and just being present with that and feeling it in their body, inviting in that fresh oxygen, and visualizing it throughout their body, and then exhaling, whatever it is they want to let go of, to leave behind in their day, and leave it in the past, and seeing, where that may take them. And just, I think it's so easy to take our own breath for granted. And so just coming back to, like I said, back to basics and back to our breath, and, a reminder of that is what's giving us life to live.
Mhm.
As stressful as the day may be, we just come back to our breath and center.
Yeah, it's always
Mm.
there, right? I mean, let's hope so, because if it's not, we got a whole other issue. But
Yeah,
no,
we're
but
not
thank
here if
you.
it's not.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for doing that, because I literally did. I took that deep breath when you said that. And,
Me too.
my eyes were not closed. I was not sitting in the right position. You're correct, air quotes around that,
Mhm.
a certain position. I didn't have to take this big dramatic sit down. I just took the deep breath you invited me to take. And man, it really
Mhm.
did. I don't know. Hopefully the people who are listening did the same thing, because it really did make a difference for how I felt. You don't
Mhm.
even realize how tight you're holding yourself, what, kind of how you have your body, until you remind yourself to do that. And when you do it, you're like, oh, wow, I really needed
Mhm.
that. So thank you for that invitation, Laura.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah. Can you just tell everyone how they can find you, if they want to work with you, and maybe go to that website or that Facebook group and follow you.
Sure. So, yes, the Facebook group is called Stress Less with Mindfulness. And I, can also be found on, Facebook, my name, Laura Alessio, and then similar to the other location, well, my website, nursecoachalessio.com. And then my Instagram handle is the same, Nurse Coach Alessio. And then I'm on LinkedIn as Laura Alessio.
Great. Yeah, and we'll put
And
all of
it's
that in the
Alessio
Yes.
for the listeners out there.
yeah, and we'll put it
Yes.
all in the notes as
Yeah.
well, so there it'll be quick, linkable. So thank you so much for your
Perfect.
time this morning, Laura. It's
Yes.
actually afternoon where you are in Puerto Rico, but yeah, thank you for your time. If you like this episode, please be sure to like it, subscribe, add any comments, and follow Laura so that you can get more of her amazing advice. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Laura.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.